my friends, how you doing? I'm back. This is part two of our Jungle Click game, the Whack-A-Bat game, whatever theme it is that you've designed in yours. So in this case, in this particular episode, what I want to do is focus on how do we create multi-levels. So when you click, say, 5 times, it will cascade to level 2 and then level 3 and so forth. And then what this is going to allow us to do then is start to add some different elements as the levels begin to go up. So what we're going to be doing is taking the exact code from part one of this and remixing some things around to get ready for this part two. So what we want to do here to get started is a couple things. The first thing that we want to do is get our background ready. And in this case of this demo, we're just going to create 3 levels. But once you get going and understand how all this works, you're going to be able to just go bonkers and create all the things that you want. So we already have this jungle background from the first part. So I'm down here in the stage, I have this highlighted, and we're going to click over here in backdrops. And you can see that we have jungle as backdrop 2, and then we have nothing as background number 1. So the first thing we want to do is this, let's just keep this very simple. And we're actually going to make level 1 just a solid color with no background distractions. So I'm actually going to go down here where it's going to allow us to do some drawing by moving this to bitmap. You have this down here in this icon. And all I'm going to do is hit this paint bucket, this fill, and then you can just choose any color that you want. I'm going to go with a, I don't know, kind of like a green, I guess. I'm going to fill it in, and I can see that my bat stands out pretty strong here. And something that's going to be really, really important is the labeling of our levels. And so here, this costume is called Backdrop 1. We just want to make this number 1. And what's going to be important for our code is that number 1 backdrop is also named number 1 to avoid any confusion in our coding down the road. So we have that as number 1. We have jungle. I'm going to go ahead and keep this, but I'm just going to make this one number 2. And then for our third level, I'm just going to paint a new backdrop again. I'm going to make this one really simple. So basically what happens when we get to level 3, the game's going to end. But you can go through and design more levels later like we talked about. So I'm going to go to this, fill. I don't know why my icon here. There we go. And I'm going to make this just a different color. That looks good. We're going to do that. Alright, so I'm going to, for my text, I'm going to change the color here. I'm just going to make it black for simple sake. And then I'm going to make this pixel. And I'm just going to say, you win. And then I'm going to stretch this out to the bottom so it fills the whole bottom. We'll eventually add some stuff later. But there we go. We've got you win. I need to make this level 3 right here. Okay, and we're going to create one more level. We're going to create a start screen so nothing starts until we're ready because some of you are going to get really competitive. So I'm just going to, let's just pick one. I'm just going to pick, I don't know. Let's just pick blue sky. And I'm just going to call this start screen. And what I want to do with that is keep it just like so. And I'm just going to add one thing of text here. I'm going to keep it just black and with the pixel text. And I'm just going to type click the box to begin. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. Perfect. Okay. So now we have level 1, level 2, level 3, and our start screen. So our backdrops are all ready to go. Now, A couple other things that we need to do. I have here click box to begin. So we actually need to add a box. So I'm going to draw a new sprite. So we're going to paint. I'm simply going to add a square. Let's make this, we're going to make it blue. There we go. Let's just go like that. Shrink this guy down here a little bit. And I'm just going to stick him right there. Click the box to begin. So we have a sprite, and I'm just going to label this guy start box. And the other cool thing that I want to do is I want to move it where when I'm clicking on the bat, I don't want it to be my mouse pointer. So I'm going to create a new icon. Actually, let's just choose one. You could go through and paint. We've done enough painting. I might pick, what should I use? Let's use, I'm going to go with the Muffin. We're going to go with the Muffin. Okay. So now we've got our controls here. The first thing that we want to do now is we have to start to write some code. So let's just focus on this one thing at a time. And I'm going to go back here to our backdrops and we're going to get some code in here. Now this is where we're going to have to change some things around, so just bear with me here as we go through. So I'm in my coding for my backdrops, my stage. And what we're going to do then is up in here in events, when this is clicked, we're going to make sure that when we click the green arrow that our backdrop goes to the start screen. So we're going to switch backdrop to the start screen. And you know what? I want to add some noise. So I'm going to then also add the start sound. Now I don't have any sounds here except for pop. So I'm going to go over here to sounds and I can actually either upload my own, record, whatever, but I'm going to search. I actually want some tropical birds. I think here's what I want. So you can add your own music or your own noise or whatever. I'm going to add tropical birds. So I think when I hit play here, it should play some noise. And what we're going to do also is we're going to write some code. We're going to start to use a button called the broadcast, which is going to allow chunks of our code to communicate back and forth when things happen. So we're just going to get this program in here now and it'll make sense of what we're doing here in just a little bit. I am going to, in events, bring over this when I receive a message. Okay, and I'm going to change this to a new message called start. So what's going to happen here when the game goes to begin here, when we actually click this blue box, when we click that, it's going to send out a broadcast signal called start. And when we do that, any piece of code that starts with a when I receive start is going to go into action. This really allows you to take your stuff to the next level. So what we're going to do is when we receive start, it's going to move from the start screen up here and we're going to move it to level 1. And then I'm just going to put another little thing in here, a forever block. And what I want to do just for the sake of this is level this up just to level 3. And so if, and let's just say our score, okay, if our score equals, we'll keep it simple. Actually, let's just make it even easier. Equals 3, then we want to switch the backdrop to level 2. Alright, and then I can right click this if and I can duplicate this. I'm going to drop this down here. And if score equals 6, let's add that to level 3. And then what I want to do here is once we get to level 3, we want everything to stop. So we're going to stick a stop all block right down here. So what we've done is when we click this green arrow, it's going to take us to the start screen. We're going to hear some tropical birds. And then we just put in this code here that when the game starts, we're going to move to level 2 when we score 3 points, level 3 when we get to 6 points. All right. So we have that all figured out, ready to rock and roll. Let's move over to our muffin or your bullseye or whatever it is that you created for your icon. This muffin is way too big. It's going to make it way too easy to play this game. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to win collect. And just to keep it interesting each time, it's always going to go to a random position. And the other thing that I want to have happen is I don't want to see the muffin right away. So when the start screen is going, I don't actually want to see it. So I'm going to hide it. So it's not noticeable. It's going to go to a random spot and it's going to hide the muffin until it's ready to begin. But I'm also going to change this size. So let's make it like, let's go 20%. All right. Now we're going to do the other thing though, but we do want it to get going when the game starts. So over here, if you remember that when we receive start, eventually this is going to be that blue box here. It's going to send a signal to change the backdrop, but this start is also going then to show our muffin. So we're going to add this show button here. We're going to add just a quick little wait timer just to make sure everything is kosher. And then we're going to toss in here another forever block. And what we're going to have happen here is we're actually going to have this muffin follow our mouse pointer. This is going to be our clicker. So anywhere our mouse goes, our muffin's going to go with. And then just like we coded before, if you remember, we're going to go over here. And before we had this, just when the green arrow was clicked, remember this? We had this if touching mouse pointer, we're going to change the score. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down. Okay, and we actually don't need this over here anymore. So I'm going to get rid of this. All right. And then I'm going to go back to my muffin. And I'm going to toss this bad boy in here. And I'm just going to go right here. So now it's going to follow the mouse pointer. If, all right, our muffin is touching the bat and it's clicked, we're going to change the score by 1. And we're going to broadcast a new one. And this is going to be called Next Level. Alright, I promise these will make sense here in just a minute. Alright, now let's get to our sprite, our start box here. The first thing I want to do is change this to start box so I know that that's what it's called. We are going to, as you can imagine, we need to get the green arrow when clicked. We want it to show. So we're going to show it. Okay. And then in our events here, when this sprite is clicked, so when we click this blue box, we are going to do a couple of things. We're going to create, all right, a new variable here called game level. And we're actually going to hide it. We don't need to see it. but we're going to set game level to 1. And we're going to broadcast our start. And we're going to broadcast a new signal called timer start. This is going to start our timer. And then we're going to put one more thing on here because we do want to hide this. So once we do all that, we're going to hide. There we go. And the last thing, we're going to get back to this, and we may not get to it in this tutorial, but we're going to move this over. We're going to create a new message called game over. And we can send a signal that when the game is completely over, we can show this again, so we can just keep playing. We don't actually have to reset the game every time. It'll just allow us to just keep rocking and rolling. So when we hit the green arrow, it's going to show this blue box. Once we click it, we're changing the game level to 1. We're going to broadcast start, and we're going to broadcast timer start. So when we hit this, start's going to go. And when that happens, it's going to turn this on. It's going to show our muffin. It's going to start following us around. And if we're touching the bat and clicking down, it's going to change our score. And then it's going to broadcast this next level. All right. Also, when we have start here, we're going to switch this backdrop to number 1. And it's waiting for these to trigger in our game. Now, the last thing we have is our bat. Okay, so we've already messed around with some of this code. This part here is going to stay the same. There's nothing that we need to mess with that. This click here, when clicked, we're going to change the score to 0. That part's good. We just took the bottom part off. But now here, we need to change this as well. And so actually what I'm going to do is bring over a when I receive. And you remember over there earlier we had a timer start. So this is going to keep track of our timer. And I'm simply going to get rid of this green flag checked. We don't need that now because we don't want the timer to start until the game starts. I'm actually going to make this 30 seconds. There we go. And we have all of that. So now when we go to run this, let's see what happens here. So we've got the birds chirping, the bat's kind of moving in the background. Click the box to begin. I click this and away we go. Oh, my muffin's pretty tiny. Alright, we're having a freeze here. Let's see what's going on here. Alright, my friends, I found my glitch. No wonder why it was stopping right away. So if you look here, I'm in my stage code. You can see that in this forever block right here, I have if the score equals 5, then change the backdrop to 2. If score equals 10, change the backdrop to 3, and then stop all. And what I wanted to have happen was I want this to stop when it gets to level 3. But the way I did this was I added this stop all block in this forever loop. So it was checking if, nope, and then it was stopping right away. So I actually need to take and move the stop block up right there. So guys, this happens all the time, just a little code glitch that can create some havoc if you're not careful. So this is where having comments and things like that become really helpful. So now I believe that if we go to run this here, now we've got movement, and if I can get in there, there we go. And I had changed the score to 5 in the meantime, testing things out, and I should have done that. There we go. Now we go to 5. You can see we're on stage 2. And I'm not going to get to stage 3 to show you what happens. So let's do this. Let's just make this easy. Let's make this 1. So at least you can see that it works. Okay, so we click the blue block. We're good. Click this. There we go. There's 1. And then we get to stage 3. See, everything stops. It says you win. And now what we can start to do is spruce this up, add some scores. We can get in the cloud variables. We can do a variety of other things. So in this particular case, this is just showing you how we can create levels. So your challenge and task now is to spruce up your levels, your backdrops, things like that. Just keep in mind that when you go to do these, you keep these leveled 1, 2, 3, 4 accordingly. And then you're just going to have to assemble your code according to what you want for scores and this and that. Now in the next video, we'll talk about how we can create another sprite that can actually take points away from your score, and then take a look at how we can start to do some power-ups to make the game a little more enticing. Think Mario Brothers, when Mario goes from small to big, that sort of thing. Alright guys, hope you found this helpful. As always, stay awesome.